Meghan Markle didn't build a fairy tale, she built a film set, and when the cameras rolled, reality learned to hit its mark. Tonight, we pull apart the ex-nanny's account from inside Montecito, the casting call, job listing, the hidden camera tryouts, the immaculate rooms where the noise of childhood never seemed to live, the timeline gaps that won't sit still, and the PR machine that turned private life into public product. By the end, you'll know the playbook she says ran behind those gates, how image management beat intimacy, how control replaced comfort, and where performance ended and truth began. For clarity, what follows reflects one former staffer's claims and perceptions, disputed by representatives, and you can judge their credibility for yourself. IT starts before a contract, before a handshake, before a smile for the lens. The nanny says the listing didn't read like a household post. It read like a role. Discreet, adaptable, emotionally intelligent, not easily intimidated, competencies, yes, but coded for obedience. And between the lines, a warning. Do not outshine the star. She wasn't entering a home. She was auditioning for an ongoing production with zero room for improvisation. Interviews stacked up, assistants first, then a gatekeeper, then the principals. Before any eye contact, an NDA thicker than trust. No photos, no social posts, no chatter beyond the perimeter. Silence wasn't courtesy. It was currency. When the doors opened, perfection hit her like cold air. Floors that answered to no footprint, cushions that never forgot their angles, light placed like it had a stylist. But it wasn't peace. It was a held breath. Not quiet like contentment, quiet like compliance. Later she'd learn the silence had eyes. Cameras didn't just watch entrances, they watched expressions. Smiles measured for threat, hesitations tagged as risk. It wasn't security, it was a chemistry test. The perfect hire wasn't the most qualified. The perfect hire vanished on cue. When the interview arrived, questions weren't about choking hazards or sleep regressions. They were about correction, intent, misunderstanding. Not how would you soothe, but how will you submit? Meghan's gaze didn't sift content. It clocked reaction. Harry was polite, careful, floating on the edge of the frame. A man negotiating two scripts, one written in palace marble, one penned in California light. He still believed in uniforms and structure. She sold him something softer, modern, minimal, Mother Us brand, warmth that edits clean. The disagreement wasn't raised voices. It was a draft in a closed room. Always there, rarely acknowledged, constantly chilling. The job began without beginning. Routines existed, but only when approved. Access wasn't a schedule, it was permission. And then came the strangeness. She couldn't file under privacy. Weeks, then months, with little of what childhood sounds like. No diapers arriving by the crate. No stroller creaking past the hedges at 8 a.m. No pediatric visits to arrange. Photos of the kids everywhere. Fingerprints nowhere. Playrooms staged like catalogs. Nursery doors closed like plot holes. She told herself celebrity parents guard boundaries. True. But boundaries still have life on the safe side. This felt like life that learned to pose and forgot to breathe at a trial dinner crystallized the unease. Two high chairs near a table set for warmth. She asked if she should bring them down. They'll join later, Meghan said with glassy calm. Later didn't come. Cameras did. Smiles did. A scene did. The footage looked like memory, it wasn't. She filed that as an outlier, until it wasn't. Over and over. She watched moments built like sets, toys scattered spontaneously, baskets placed casually, sunlight that hit where it was told. The public saw domestic glow. She saw continuity errors. Tension wasn't constant, it flared. Some mornings Meghan floated, grateful, offering tea, speaking fluent mindfulness. Other days, the thermostat dropped. A crease in a shirt became a lesson in blame. A dropped glass cut more than skin. It sliced continuity. Do we need to record that again? Tone flat, eyes on ceilings that held more than light fixtures. The nanny stepped in front of shards to keep bare feet safe. She learned the job wasn't only care, it was containment. And then an argument bled through a hallway. Harry's voice held the weight of someone losing narrative rights. They're my children too. They need a normal life. Not this. The reply was a thesis. Normal is what ruined your mother. I won't let that happen to me or to them. The nanny didn't write down the silence after. She didn't need to. It lived in the walls, storm night. Wind in the trees, rain on glass, voices behind doors. I decide what's authentic, Meghan whispered to a phone, and somewhere in the next room a lamp died loudly. The cleanup happened like magic. The next morning was sunshine and ring lights and a voice that knew how to land on the word resilience. The nanny realized what frightened her wasn't volatility, it was erasure. Not the mess, but the way mess vanished like it never mattered. The playroom chute was the crack she couldn't paper. Make it look lived in, Meghan said. She arranged toys, opened books, placed tiny shoes with the effortlessness of a stylist. Price tags winked from the corners. Another staffer shrugged. They're not really for him. The images posted days later. Mother reading, son nestled, sunlight loyal. Comments flooded. Goals, #momlife, serene. The nanny's stomach answered with a fist. She decided to leave without announcing it to the cameras that never blinked. Exits in houses like that happen the way hard drives are wiped. Thoroughly, cleanly, without flourish. Badge off. Number dead. Server silence. She thanked them, wished them well, disappeared. But silence decays when memory won't. A careful conversation with a friend who knew a freelancer became a whisper that learned to sprint. Headlines softened by legal hands still carried an aftertaste. Authenticity under audit. The machine counterpunched. A field, a kitchen, a porch. Warmth in 3 angles. Interviews with approved edges. I wish her peace, Meghan said, and the word peace did the work of a guard dog. It calmed some. It inflamed others. The audience split like a cell. Comment sections read the new language. Calculated, scripted, uncanny valley. PR doubled output. Trust halved engagement. Analysts named it an authenticity crisis. When sincerity becomes a deliverable, it stops delivering. Harry faded at the edges of frames. Where he stood, absence stood taller. One wide shot, one empty chair, one caption, empowerment. The nanny's voice receded, but the echo stayed. Former staffers didn't go on record. They went on whisper. You learn not to breathe too loud. Smile small. Move like furniture. Let's rewind and follow the beats the nanny mapped in her notes, the ones she wrote after midnight when the cameras slept. Entry 1. The posting reads like a mood board, discreet, adaptive, invisible. This is a role, not a job. Entry 2. The house is beautiful, but never tired. Homes get tired. Entry 3. Baby monitor lights always off. Entry 4. Harry jokes, then checks the room and stops. Entry 5. Chair set. Kids absent. Scene captured. The public will never know the difference. Entry 6. Storm. Lamp. Erasure. Entry 7. Playroom. Price tags. Not really for him. Entry 8. Voice soft on camera, sharp between syllables. 2 performances, 1 feed. And then her thesis. It wasn't what I saw. It was what I didn't. Laughter without microphones. Mess without management. Life without a lens. That's the line that survived editing. That's the line that bites because it doesn't scream. It observes. You don't need villainy to tell this story. You need fear. Fear of losing the image that feeds the brand, that funds the work, that justifies the image. Once that loop tightens, everything becomes product, even tenderness. Especially tenderness. To be fair, control can be protection. The world picks women apart, and Meghan has been carved by knives with names, misogyny, racism, tabloid economy. A fortress is a rational answer to a siege. But fortresses have collateral damage. Sunlight that can't reach faces. Children who learn their best angle before their first sentence. Partners who look down while the world looks in. If the nanny misread rooms, it's because rooms lied like professionals. If she exaggerated, it's because silence distorts memory. If she told the truth, it's because pain makes a better whistle than joy. Let's talk craft, because that's what this really is. Narrative craft. The casting call language? That's a brief. The hidden cameras? That's a rough cut.